review today A Language of Limbs by Dylin Hardcastle. This book follows two characters. Both of these girls had queer relationships when they were teenagers, but they go on very different life paths. One of them got caught by her parents and was forced to run away. She ends up joining like a queer community house. I don't want to say commune, like a queer halfway house, basically, and living her life as an out lesbian. The other one gets her heart broken, calls the relationship off, goes back in the closet, goes to school, marries a man, tries to start a family, gets a job in publishing, the whole deal. And so this book follows both of these women's very different life paths. I say very different. I thought that they were going to be more intertwined than they were. I've heard a lot about this book, actually, and I know why, because it's very well written. But for whatever reason, I was thinking that the experience that they both had as a teenager were like with each other. I thought like they got caught together, and one of them was like, "No, I'm not gonna go in the closet. I'm gonna run away and be gay." And the other one was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll go back in the closet now." That's not what this is. They don't know each other. So I was under the impression that they were together as children, and then they go off on completely different life paths, and then eventually they converge and get back together again. That's not what happens at all. I don't know why I thought that, and so I guess my disappointment with the ending of this book stems from my expectations that I made up, apparently. I don't think anyone told me that. I think I just assumed that because of the description and how I knew it was like two different stories that were parallels in a way. So the writing tries to connect them sometimes through the prose. Like, I remember there's one like specific passage. It's not even a chapter. It's like one of them is writing a poem, and then the other one is also speaking in poem, and it's basically the same poem with just like a couple of lines changed. A lot of their story beats sort of overlap. This takes place in the 70s and 80s, so during the AIDS crisis, and so while one woman is losing a lot of her friends to the AIDS crisis, another one is also dealing with death. Her father-in-law is sick, and so there's parallels like that. There's quite a few of them, and I definitely see what the writing is going for there, and I do think it succeeds in that. What I didn't love was the ending. I genuinely thought like they were really gonna come together, and it's just like two almost totally different stories. They do sort of come to know each other at the end. One of them is a poet, the queer one, and then the straight one, is a publisher. The publisher ends up reading some of the poet's poems and like calling her, and is basically gonna get her a book deal, essentially. But like that's where the book ends. Sorry for spoilers. This is about the journey. It's not about the destination. But I was disappointed by the destination. And so one of them is aware of the other one, but we really don't see the poet's reaction to meeting this publisher, or like them getting to know each other at all. We get to see the publisher like reading these queer poems and like feeling understood, even though she hasn't lived this queer life. Like she still has this innate connection to queerness, and like she understands this and she feels it in her soul, and I really like that. That's really well done. And so like we see the publisher sort of be touched by this other woman, but we don't see this other woman get touched by the publisher, metaphorically or literally. I did think they were gonna be a couple. Also, the cover made me think that. I like this cover. It's two butches making out. What more can you want? The first time I saw this, I did think it was two men. I was like scrolling through LGBT books, and I'm like, oh, that's two gay men. And then I looked, and like, no, that's two butches. Incredible. Even though I don't think there's any butch on butch action in this. Really, not really. Because again, the one lady's like straight until kind of the end, when she like admits to herself that she's queer, probably, and will probably not continue to pretend to be straight or bisexual. I think she's genuinely bisexual, because she seems to really love her husband for the most part. And also they're older by the end of the book, and so like they're not like two hot young butches making out with each other, you know what I mean? Great cover though. Great concept for a book cover. Someone's got game, whoever designed that. There's two different versions, and one's where they're just like hugging. Nah, we gotta get those butches making out. None of this hugging shit. I don't know who these butches making out on the cover are, or who they're supposed to be, but I applaud you. Keep going. You do you. But this does read like a romance. Like, if you have two people making out on your front cover, it's kind of a romance. And then I'm still assuming that they get together at the end of the book, or after the events of the book. I would have liked to have seen that, because I really thought we were building to that. And again, the queer woman, she has like a love affair with another woman the whole time. And I'm like, this is really romantic. Like, how's she gonna break up with this lady to get with the other lady? That doesn't happen, clearly. But I had funky expectations going into this, and so I'm fine with like spoiling those sort of character arcs for you, because I was mistaken, and maybe someone else is. Maybe I made that up and no one else has that problem at all. But I really thought this was a romance, and these two paths were going to converge a lot more than they did. So that disappointment stopped this from being a 5-star for me. I think that really would have tied it together. Because again, they do meet at the end. Like, the implication is that they're going to meet. I want to see that. I read this whole book about these two people. I want to see them, like, meet and really get to know each other and, like, see how they really touch each other in the long run. You know, I've gotten their whole life story so far. Just give me the good ending, you know? Like, don't tease it. Don't tease the best part of your story that we've been leading up to this whole time. But other than that, this is a very, very good book. The prose is beautiful. It borders on purple prose. It is constantly lyrical. I don't want to say experimental at all. There is like a little bit, again, like those little chapters that were just poems. But really it's just like beautiful, profound writing. If you're one of the girlies who loves to highlight shit and annotate, oh my god, you're gonna have a field day with this. You will love this girl. You could easily come out of this with like 200 profound quotes on life and love and grief and loss and heartache and triumph and queer history, and it's very good. It's well written for sure. This definitely feels like a classic. It was published recently, either this year or last year, but this feels like one of the 5 books my local library would have had about queer people when I was 12 years old, looking for books about queer people in my library. It's got that real, like, classic, well-written, historical tone. All those old books that my library had were, like, the queer classics, like Jeanette Winterson, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. It feels like that sort of genre, that sort of very gay, very on-the-nose coming-of-age story about queerness. But it's not just a coming-of-age story, because, again, we sort of explore their whole lives. But it's about queerness. It's about the AIDS crisis. It's about repressing yourself. It's about queer joy and triumph and, like, the adversity and the community and pushing through all of the adversity and, you know, like, the queer shit. Like, the queer shit. This is gonna be on lists of, like, if you want introductions into queer literature, you read this book, because it's very touching and it's well written and it's very gay. And it's got that timeless quality. Again, I think this could have been written in the 70s. It'll still be relevant in like 50 years as like a historical piece, because it is technically historical now. It feels weird to call the 70s historical, but it is. So this is just gonna hold up as a good snapshot of that specific moment in time. Sort of widespread, timeless, broad, general enjoyment for like a queer book. The platonic ideal of this kind of queer story, which is definitely a plus for some people. That's not my favorite genre, probably because that was all I could read when I was 12 and my library didn't have any fun gay books. It was all sad trauma porn like this, written about the 70s. And I'm like, I'm 12. And I'm not 12 anymore, and I can't appreciate it as just a really good book, a really solid product. And I know a lot of people want that, but I do tend to gravitate more towards other things. So I do understand why people are obsessed with this book. I was not, like, obsessed with this. This didn't change my life or, like, blow my mind. I'll probably never reread this, necessarily. But I understand why people would really latch onto this and really love it. It's a good book. You should probably read it if that sounds interesting to you at all. I think you will enjoy it. Also, if any publishers are watching, you should have more butches making out on your covers. Even if it's not relevant to the book, you should just do it. You can have a successful book with random butches making out on the cover. I liked that. It was such a good marketing decision, guys. You nailed it. More shirtless butches, please. And thank you. Have a good night.